Today we are going to cover the topic of good clinical practices and the clinical trial registry of India. And we would also come to know about the genesis of the good clinical practices, why they came into being, and how important the compliance with the GCPs, the good clinical practices, is. So, moving ahead, I would just give you an introduction. What is GCP? In short, we call it GCP. GCP is a guideline of good clinical practices, and this is an ethical and scientific quality standard for designing, conducting, recording and reporting trials that involve participation of human subjects. So, it has an interface of several stakeholders in play, such as the sponsor, the investigator, the ethics committees, etc. And why is it important? You must all be wondering why there is so much of emphasis on good clinical practices. Why is it needed in the first place? So, this is required to ensure that the trial subjects, their safety, their rights and their well-being is protected, and to also ensure that the credibility of the clinical trial data or the biomedical research which is being undertaken in the study, the credibility of that research is ensured, and also to streamline the clinical studies. Why has the GCP been developed into formal guidelines? What is the reason? And there is a history of several abuse of human rights issues and public disasters in the last almost 50 to 60 years, which has led to the genesis of these guidelines, good clinical practices. And the basic tenet is that we want to ensure the safety of patients who are participating in these clinical trials, and also ensure that whatever are the investigational new drugs or the research in which the patients are taking part, these drugs or these interventions which are developed are safe for patients in the future. The overall idea is to give a public assurance that the data of these studies is credible. Initially, the background of ethics has been in the historical past prior to the 20th century, essentially governed by physicians' conscience and professional codes of conduct to protect human subjects who they are treating. But the basic premise of research ethics has its background in the basic Hippocratic Oath, which is the oldest expression of medical ethics, and the basic principle here is primum non nocere, first do no harm. This is what the oath which is taken up by all doctors, all healthcare professionals when they become doctors, physicians. So, moving ahead, what have been the major milestones in the evolution of GCP guidelines? There have been several events in the history which has led to the genesis of these guidelines in the first place. The sulfanilamide tragedy in 1937, followed by Nuremberg Code in 48, the landmark thalidomide tragedy in 1950s leading to up to 1961. We will cover that in the subsequent slides. Coming to the Tuskegee syphilis study, numerous examples are there. National Research Act came into being in 1974, the Belmont report came in 1979, and this was followed by the international guidelines for biomedical research involving human subjects over the last many decades, going through several revisions from 1982 to 93 to 2002. So, all these milestones have carved the way, the evolution of GCP over the last many decades. The thalidomide tragedy, this was a drug, a sedative which was distributed in 46 countries, and an Australian obstetrician discovered that the drug could alleviate morning sickness in pregnant women, and physicians started to recommend off-label use of the drug to their pregnant patients, setting a worldwide trend. And we all know that this tragedy has led to several births which have actually led to phocomelia in these newborn children. And it was in 1960 that the FDA was petitioned to approve the distribution in United States. But Dr. Frances Kelsey, who is also known as the heroine of the FDA now, because she kept the application for over a year, and by that time she was not convinced that the thalidomide safety data and the efficacy data. So, she did not approve thalidomide use in the pregnant women in the United States, and therefore, by then the reports of the birth defects etc. started coming in, and since this drug was not approved in the United States did not suffer from such a tragedy at that time. This led to numerous reforms. The first federal policy for protection of human subjects in 1953 came into being, and this led the background foundation of NIH policy in 1966, that the risks and the benefits of the investigational new drugs have to be balanced in research. Declaration of Helsinki is another landmark document which came in 1964. It was an attempt by the doctors to regulate research themselves, and by that time Nuremberg Code was already there. The World Medical Association was preparing recommendations as a guide to every physician in biomedical research involving human subjects, and the International Code of Medical Ethics declared that physicians should only act in the patient's interest when providing medical care. There are numerous other examples such as the Tuskegee syphilis study from 1932 to 1972. This was a huge political embarrassment for the United States, and where the syphilis patients were taken in spite of the penicillin being available in the 50s. The study continued until 1972, and many patients lost their lives due to syphilis during the study. This study was stopped in 1973 by the US Department of Health, Education and Welfare only after it was largely publicized. This also led to the background foundation of the National Research Act 1974. There were amendments made to the 21 CFR codes of the GCPs and the clinical research conduct, data integrity, etc. The Belmont report came into being, and the basic premise of the Belmont report is around three principles: autonomy, beneficence and justice. And this also laid the foundation of informed consent, especially for patients who were vulnerable patients and did not have the ability to provide a fully informed consent. This led to international guidelines for biomedical research involving human subjects. The WHO and the CIOMS guideline came into being, and later on international ethical guidelines for biomedical research involving human subjects by CIOMS was released in 1993 and later revised in 2002. WHO has also brought out the good clinical practice guidelines which can be referred to through this link. These are the basic 13 principles which outline the main tenets of GCP, good clinical practices. Ethical conduct of studies as part of the ethics, rights, safety and well-being of subjects to be protected, compliance with a scientifically sound detailed protocol, and there is a key role of ethics committees prior to the initiation of biomedical research, including clinical trials. Each individual is qualified as per the GCP, should be qualified. The medical care should be taken by a qualified physician. There should be a freely given informed consent by the subjects and taking part in the trials or in the research. The data integrity, the data quality has to be protected. The investigational products used in the trials or in the research, they must conform to good manufacturing practices and used per protocol, and quality assurance, quality control aspects. Systems with procedures must ensure quality of these investigational products at every aspect of the trial or the biomedical research. So, there are key stakeholders in good clinical practices: the sponsor, the investigator, the study subjects or the human volunteers, and ethics committees. So, the sponsor is who sponsors the entire trial. It can be an individual, an institution, a company, and takes responsibility for the initiation, management and financing of the study. The investigator is the person responsible for the conduct of the study at the trial site, and study subjects are the subjects taking part in the clinical trial or in the biomedical research. The ethics committee is a synonym also for institutional review board or independent review board. It is a committee comprising of interdisciplinary medical, scientific, non-medical members, and their main responsibility is to verify the protection, rights and safety, well-being of the human subjects involved in the study. So, in this slide you can see the roles and responsibilities of each of the stakeholders: patients, the regulators, the sponsors, investigators and ethics committees. And you see that focusing on the ethics committees, they must ensure compliance with GCP and applicable regulatory guidelines. The review of the trial progress or the study, how is it progressing at the site? It is also a responsibility of ethics committee. The review of the serious adverse events, if any, which are happening, and of course, giving the approval to the study in the first place. The investigator has to actually conduct the study at the study site and ensure that all the tenets of GCP are compliant and applicable regulatory guidelines are implemented. Medical care of the study subjects is also one of the key responsibilities of the investigator. Coming to the evolution of these regulations or the progress of the good clinical practice guidelines in India, you can see here the complete pathway of how these guidelines have progressed in India since 1980. It was in 1980 that ICMR brought out its first guideline on policy statement on ethical considerations involved in research on human subjects. This was followed by the Schedule Y, which was introduced in the Drugs and Cosmetic Rules in 1988. The ethical guidelines by ICMR were revised and released again in 2000, and the GCP guidelines came into being by CDSCO in 2001. This was followed by again another revision of the ICMR guidelines, ethical guidelines for biomedical research on human participants in 2006, and in tandem there were several amendments to the drugs and cosmetics rules which were brought out in the rule 122 DAB, 122 DSC. This was then followed by a very exhaustive revision of the National Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical Research involving children, published by ICMR in 2017. And the final new drugs and clinical trial rules came out by CDSCO, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India in 2019. And this outlined very clearly the clinical research which is conducted as clinical trials versus the clinical research which is conducted as biomedical research. We will see more about this in the forthcoming slides. So, the new drugs and clinical trial rules were notified in March 2019, and this applied to all new drugs, investigational new drugs for human use, bioequivalence studies and the biomedical research which is reviewed by ethics committees. So, this is what the clear division. The clinical trials constituted under the Rule 7 registered under Rule 8, whereas the biomedical and health research is under the Rule 16 and Rule 17. And there is a very exhaustive course on the current regulatory requirements for conducting clinical trials in India for investigational new drugs or new drugs, which is available in the SWAYAM portal under this link of NPTEL. This course has been jointly developed by CDSA, the Department of Biotechnology, and CDSCO, which is our National Drug Regulatory Authority. So, I recommend that if you would like to know more details about the regulatory requirements for conducting clinical trials in India, please do refer to this course. It is a very exhaustive course. So, coming to the new drugs and clinical trial rules, which delineated the complete biomedical research and the responsibility of registering these studies under the Department of Health Research. So, this registry came into being, National Ethics Committee Registry for Biomedical and Health Research, by the Department of Health Research, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. And this basically the constitution of the Ethics Committee for Biomedical and Health Research, it was outlined that all the biomedical research should be registered in this registry, and the participants as may be specified by the ICMR, and the review of the work of the Biomedical and Health Research Center should be there before initiation, and the oversight should be provided throughout the study. Any institution or any person who is conducting any biomedical or health research should do so with the approval of the Ethics Committee under the Rule 17, and they should also do that in accordance with the National Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical and Health Research involving human participants as may be specified by the Indian Council of Medical Research from time to time. And so, as I said, the new clinical trial, drugs and clinical trial rules 2019 outlined that the designated authority for Ethics Committee registration for the biomedical research studies is the Department of Health Research, and NETIC portal has been developed for the researchers to register their biomedical studies in the portal. The National Ethics Committee Registry for Biomedical and Health Research facilitates these Ethics Committee registrations related to biomedical and health research. And it is a very simple and efficient process which has been developed over the past years subsequent to the Gazette notification of the new drugs and clinical trial rules 2019. So, all the ethics committees that review and approve regulatory clinical trials should be registered with CDSCO, whereas all the ethics committees that review biomedical and health research have to register with the Department of Health Research, and this is with effect from 19th September 2019. The initial validity of such an approval would be 2 years, which would be then extendable by 5 years after a thorough review of the documents. So, you see here it is a very busy slide, but you see here at a glance that how the new drugs and clinical trial rules 2019 has outlined clear cut roles for ethics committees for clinical trials, the bioavailability, bioequivalence studies and biomedical research. So, on the left hand side you see here the ethics committees for biomedical and health research have to register in the as per the National Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical and Health Research involving human participants, and they have to register with DHR, Department of Health Research. Whereas, for clinical trials and for bioavailability studies and bioequivalence studies, the ethics committee registration has to be with CDSCO. And these are the various tenets, the constitution of ethics committees, how the ethics committee members have to be trained in compliance with the law, and also the other oversight mechanisms which CDSCO has on these ethics committees. So, we have seen in the previous slide as well that Department of Health Research is the authority for registration of ethics committees, and this registry which has been developed by ICMR, DHR is harmonized with the registry requirements with CDSCO. And this facilitated ethics committee registration is a fair and transparent mechanism, and it ensures that the safety, well-being and the rights of the research participants are well protected. These are the new National Ethical Guidelines for Biomedical and Health Research for human participants, which were released in 2017. These guidelines are now mandated under the new drugs and clinical trial rules 2019. It is mandatory to register the ethics committee for biomedical and health research with DHR. And as I covered in the previous slides, there is a portal, NETIC portal, which has been developed for this purpose, and the ICMR bioethics unit serves as the scientific advisor for this registry. So, this is the ethics committee registration process. It is a very easy process, I would say. Ethics committees have to be registered online, get their login credentials from the NETIC portal. The documents have to be submitted, and hard copies also would need to be submitted, uploaded documents for verification. Then the CT1 application would be reviewed, and there would be a provisional registration for 2 years initially, and the final registration will be granted after a detailed review of the documents as per the performa and the relevant rules. So, the checklist and the requirements for the documents is online on the ICMR website. You can check and go through the details on the website. Coming to the area of Clinical Trials Registry of India. The Clinical Trials Registry of India was set up at the National Institute of Medical Statistics (NIMS) at the Indian Council of Medical Research in New Delhi. And this was initially a voluntary system which was developed for registration of clinical trials in 2007, but from 2009 onwards, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization has mandated that anyone conducting any clinical trials must pre-register their trial in this registry. This registry is a primary registry of WHO, and it is also being used for trials or studies which are conducted in other countries who are using this registry, the Clinical Trial Registry of India. On the right hand side, what you see is the interface of the registry, and there is a very useful e-tutorial that I guide all of you to go through before you start registering your trial in the Clinical Trial Registry. The basic premise of setting up this registry was that all the clinical trials which happen in India are prospectively registered before the enrollment of the first participant, and also studies such as BA/BE studies, post-market surveillance studies were also encouraged to be registered in the registry. These are basically so that the transparency, accountability is maintained and the ethical standards are adhered to, and there is a mechanism of reporting the relevant results of these clinical trials. This is the information which you will record in the Clinical Trial Registry when you are recording any biomedical research study or a clinical trial. Starting from the title, public title, the scientific title, the principal investigator's name, the contact person, the sponsor's information, name of the ethics committees, the regulatory clearance information, etc. It goes to the more scientific details also of the study, capturing what is the study type, inclusion exclusion criteria, blinding, whether it has been done, not done, what are the primary and secondary outcomes, target sample size, is this a phase 1 or 2 or 3 of the clinical trial, what is the estimated duration, and a brief summary of it. And the registrant can then continue to update the information in the registry. So, they can also upload the results of the clinical trial or the results of the biomedical research study into the Clinical Trial Registry of India. This, what you see on the slide here, is a very proud moment for WHO as well as ICMR. There have been several scaled up capacity building initiatives for implementation of GCP, for capacity building of ethics committees in India. And you see here in the last 2 years, more than 27 training programs have been conducted across 19 cities in India with more than 7,000 participants trained from 600 institutions. Almost 235 ethics committees have been trained in the past 2 years itself. ICMR Bioethics Unit at Bangalore has also been recognized as a WHO collaborating center for strengthening ethics in biomedical and health research in the WHO Southeast Asia region, and is playing an active role in building the capacity of ethics committees in the Southeast Asia region countries. These are the guidelines which are being launched. The several regional consultations were held, followed by a national consultation, and these are the latest guidelines available, ethical guidelines on the ICMR website which were released. You see here key participants and the core committee members, stakeholders, WHO representatives and the DG ICMR. Due to COVID-19, a number of digital tools have also been developed for ethics review in the past 1 year in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. So, several standard operating procedures for emergency reviews, the ethics committee guidelines, virtual meetings are being encouraged. So, this guideline which you see on the screen, this is a national guideline which has been developed for ethical practices, especially in the context of COVID-19 pandemic. Electronic procedures have been suggested for fast tracking review by ethics committees, and also there are downloadable online review sample templates which you could refer to. So, this whole SOPs, EC guidelines, common forms is this whole repository is very rich source of information for ethics committees, and I encourage ethics committee members, researchers and students to go through these new resources which have been brought forward by ICMR, Bioethics Unit Bangalore and the ICMR headquarters in Delhi. So, thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that GCP genesis, the key principles of GCP, the vision and the mission of Clinical Trial Registry of India, and also how to register the biomedical research in the DHR portal. All these aspects were clarified through this presentation. Thank you very much.